In this video, I'm going to show you 5 powerful ways to use Florida Series LLCs that could completely transform how you structure your business in 2026. Now, most entrepreneurs have never even heard of this structure, but by the end of this video, you might wonder why you didn't set one up sooner. I'm Santiago Cueto, board-certified international business law expert and best-selling author, and I've helped protect thousands of companies with solid legal structures and asset protection strategies. Now let's start with some big Florida news. Florida officially joined the ranks of states that allow Series LLCs. This is massive news because Florida is home to millions of real estate investors and business owners who've been waiting for years for this structure to finally become available. This new Florida law takes effect on July 1st of 2026 and finally gives entrepreneurs in the Sunshine State access to the same powerful tool that investors in Delaware, Texas, and Nevada have been using for years. So why does this matter so much for real estate investors? Imagine you're a real estate investor and you've got 5 rental properties scattered across different neighborhoods in Florida. Traditional wisdom says you should put each property in its own separate LLC to protect yourself from liability. But here's the problem with that approach. Each LLC costs money to form, money to maintain, and requires its own annual filings and fees. In Florida, you're looking at about $140 just to file the articles of incorporation, plus a minimum of about $400 in registered agent and annual report fees per year. Do the math on 5 properties, and you're spending over $2,000 annually just on administrative costs, not to mention the accounting fees to manage 5 separate entities. I know, it's a lot. So this is where the Series LLC becomes absolutely brilliant and why Florida investors should be celebrating right now. Instead of forming 5 separate LLCs, you form one parent Series LLC, and then you create 5 protected series underneath it. Each series holds one property, and here's the magic. The liabilities of one series don't bleed in over into another. So if someone slips and falls at property number 3 and decides to sue, they can only go after the assets in that specific series. Your other 4 properties remain completely protected, sitting safely in their own separate series. But you're only paying 1 set of formation fees and 1 annual filing fee for the parent LLC. You've just cut your administrative costs by potentially 70 to 80% while maintaining the same level of legal protection. And this isn't just theory. I've worked with clients in other states who've built portfolios of 20, 30, even 50 properties using this exact structure. The cost savings become exponential as you scale, and the administrative simplicity means you're spending less time on paperwork and more time on actually growing your portfolio. Now that Florida has finally enacted this legislation effective next summer, I expect we're going to see a massive shift in how real estate is held throughout the state. But real estate is just the first way for you to use a Series LLC. Let's talk about something that's become increasingly relevant in 2026, running multiple business brands under one corporate umbrella. This is the second way to take advantage of the Series LLC. I've got a client who learned this lesson the expensive way. She started with one successful e-commerce brand selling organic skincare products. Then she had an idea for a completely different brand targeting a different demographic with fitness supplements. Different products, different customers, different marketing, different everything. Her accountant told her that she needed to form a completely separate LLC for the new brand. More filing fees, more tax returns, more bank accounts, more everything. Then she wanted to launch a 3rd brand. You can see where this is going. By the time she came to me, she was drowning in administrative complexity and paying thousands of dollars in unnecessary fees. We restructured everything into a Series LLC. The parent LLC became her holding company, and each brand became its own protected series. Now here's why this is so powerful for brand businesses specifically. Each series can have its own assets, its own bank account, its own inventory, and its own contracts. If one brand gets sued for product liability claim, the other brands are completely protected. But from an operational standpoint, she's running everything through one streamlined structure. She's got one tax return for the parent LLC and the series are treated as disregarded entities for tax purposes, which means massive simplification. And if you're thinking about selling one of your brands down the road, you can actually sell just that specific series without having to unwind the entire corporate structure. I've seen entrepreneurs use this to test multiple business concepts simultaneously, knowing that if one fails, it won't take down the others. It's like having multiple startups with a built-in firewall between them. Now, before we dive into the next 3 strategies, if you're finding this valuable and you can see how a Series LLC might work for your business, do me a favor and hit that like button right now. It helps this video reach more entrepreneurs who need to know about these strategies, and make sure you're subscribed because I break down complex legal structures like this every single week. All right, let's talk about the third way to leverage the benefits of a Series LLC: intellectual property protection. This is where Series LLCs get really interesting for creative businesses and tech companies. If you've built a business that owns multiple patents, trademarks, copyrights, or trade secrets, you're sitting on valuable assets that need protection. Here's what most business owners don't realize. Each piece of intellectual property represents a separate liability risk. Let me give you an example. Say you've developed 3 different software products, each with its own patents and trademarks. If someone challenges the patent on product number 1 and wins, and everything's held in a single LLC, that lawsuit could potentially expose all your IP assets to claims and legal fees. But if each product's intellectual property sits in its own protected series, the liability stays contained. This structure also makes licensing arrangements cleaner. You can license out the IP from one series to your operating company or to a third party without complicating your entire corporate structure. And if you ever want to sell one piece of IP or bring in investors for just one product, you've got clean separation already built in. Now let's address our 4th compelling application of the Florida Series LLC, one that resonates deeply with accomplished entrepreneurs: safeguarding your assets. You've dedicated countless hours to accumulating wealth, and in today's increasingly litigation-prone landscape, securing your hard-earned assets has never been more critical. Enter the Series LLC, a refined and strategic instrument for asset protection. All right, so here's the concept. Instead of holding all your valuable assets in one entity, where one lawsuit could potentially reach everything, you can segregate different asset classes into different series. Maybe you've got investment accounts in one series, business equipment in another, and vehicles in another, and intellectual property in yet another. The segregation creates multiple layers of protection for you. But here's where it gets even more strategic. Some entrepreneurs use Series LLCs in combination with other structures to create what I call layered protection. The Series LLC might own operating assets, while a separate trust or LLC owns a membership interest in the parent Series LLC. This creates multiple barriers that any creditor would have to pierce through, and each barrier makes it more expensive and time-consuming for someone to come after your assets. Now, I need to be crystal clear about something. Asset protection planning needs to be done before you have any lawsuits or claims against you. If you wait until there's a problem, courts will simply look at it as a fraudulent conveyance, and it won't protect you at all. You'll completely lose all protection. This is about being proactive, not reactive. And it's also not about hiding assets or doing anything illegal. It's about using legal structures that are explicitly allowed under state law to create legitimate barriers between different assets and liabilities. Now, the 5th way to use Series LLCs is something I'm seeing more high net worth families implement, and it's for family wealth management and estate planning. If you're building generational wealth and you want to pass different assets to different family members or manage family investments separately, a Series LLC can be an elegant solution. Now, here's a common scenario. A family has multiple investment properties, some stock portfolios, maybe a family business, and various other assets. Different family members might have different roles or ownership interest in different assets. Now, traditionally, you'd need multiple separate entities to manage all of these, which creates a nightmare of complexity for estate planning and succession. Now, with a Series LLC, you can create different series for different asset classes or different family members. One series might hold the family business that's going to the eldest child who's been working in it for years. Another series might hold investment real estate that's being split between two other children. And another series might hold liquid investments that are designated for grandchildren's education. The beautiful part is that you can customize the ownership percentages and management rights for each series independently. One child might have full control of their series, while another might have ownership but with a trustee managing it until they reach a certain age. And when it comes time for estate planning, you can transfer ownership of specific series through trusts or directly to beneficiaries without having to restructure your entire holding company. I've seen this eliminate so much family conflict because everything's clearly delineated from the start. There's no confusion of who owns what or who's responsible for which asset. And from a tax and administrative standpoint, you're still dealing with one parent entity rather than a dozen separate LLCs or corporations. Now, here's what you need to understand. Series LLCs aren't available in every state, and even when they are available, the laws vary significantly. States like Delaware, Texas, Nevada, and Illinois have well-established Series LLC statutes, and now Florida will join the list next summer. But the legal landscape is constantly evolving. And because this is a relatively sophisticated structure, you absolutely need to work with an attorney who understands how to set them up properly. Improper formation or failure to maintain proper separation between series can destroy the liability protection you're trying to create. But if you implement this correctly, a Series LLC can be one of the most powerful tools in your business structuring arsenal. Now, if this video opened your eyes to possibilities you hadn't considered before, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'm constantly breaking down advanced strategies like this that can save you money and protect your wealth. I'm Santiago Cueto, your Florida business law attorney. Click on the video I've linked right here, and I'll see you in the next strategy session.